Glory to God the Father and Son Yeshua Mashiach. 1 Kings chapter 16. The word of Adonai came to Jehu the son of Hanani against Baasha. I raised you up out of the dust and made you prince over my people Israel. But you have lived in the same way as Yerovam and caused my people Israel to sin, so that their sinning has made me angry. Therefore I will sweep away Baasha and his house completely. I will make your house like the house of Yerovam the son of Nevat. If someone from the line of Baasha dies in the city, the dogs will eat him. If he dies in the countryside, the vultures will eat him. Other activities of Baasha, his accomplishments and his power are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. Baasha slept with his ancestors, and Elah his son became king in his place. Through the prophet Jehu the son of Hanani the word of Adonai was proclaimed against Baasha and his house, both because he did so much evil from Adonai's perspective, angering him with his actions and becoming like the house of Yerovam, and because he killed Nadav. The reign of Elah. It was in the 26th year of Asa king of Yehuda that Elah the son of Baasha began his reign over all Israel in Tirzah, and he ruled for 2 years. His servant Zimri, commander of half of his chariots, plotted against him. Finally, one time when Elah was in Tirzah, drinking himself senseless in the house of Arza, administrator of the palace in Tirzah, Zimri entered, struck him down and killed him. This was in the 27th year of Asa king of Yehuda. Zimri then took Elah's place as king. At the beginning of his reign, as soon as he took over the throne, he killed off the entire house of Baasha. He left not a single male, neither of his relatives nor of his friends. Thus Zimri eliminated all the house of Baasha, in keeping with the word of Adonai spoken against Baasha through Jehu the prophet. This word had been spoken. Because of all of Baasha's sins and the sins of Elah his son, which they committed and with which they made Israel sin, thereby angering Adonai the God of Israel with their worthless idols. Other activities of Elah and all his accomplishments are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. The reign of Zimri. It was in the 27th year of Asa king of Yehuda that Zimri ruled for 7 days in Tirzah. At that time, the army was besieging Gibbethon, which belonged to the Pelishtim. The troops in their camp heard it said that Zimri had plotted and killed the king, whereupon that same day, there in the camp, all Israel made Omri, the commander of the army, king over Israel. Omri and all Israel with him withdrew from Gibbethon and besieged Tirzah. When Zimri saw that the city had been captured, he went into the citadel of the royal palace and burned down the royal palace over him, so that he died. This came about because of the sins he committed in doing what was evil from Adonai's perspective, in living as Yerovam had lived, and in sinning by making Israel sin. Other activities of Zimri and his conspiracy are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. The reign of Omri. At this point the people of Israel divided into 2 factions. Half of the people went after Tivni the son of Ginath to make him king, while the other half followed Omri. But the faction supporting Omri won out over that of Tivni the son of Ginath, so Tivni died, and Omri became king. It was in the 31st year of Asa king of Yehuda that Omri began his reign over Israel, and he ruled for 12 years, 6 of them in Tirzah. He bought Mount Shomron from Shema for 132 pounds of silver. On the mountain he built a city, which he named Shomron after Shema, who had owned the mountain. Omri did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, outdoing all his predecessors in wickedness. For he lived entirely in the manner of Yerovam the son of Nevat, committing the sins with which he made Israel sin, thereby angering Adonai the God of Israel with their worthless idols. Other activities of Omri and the power he demonstrated are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. Then Omri slept with his ancestors and was buried in Shomron, and Achav his son became king in his place. Ahab does evil. It was in the 38th year of Asa king of Yehuda that Achav the son of Omri began his rule over Israel. Achav the son of Omri ruled 22 years over Israel in Shomron. Achav the son of Omri did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, outdoing all his predecessors in wickedness. But then, as if it had been a trifling thing for him to commit the sins of Yerovam the son of Nevat, he took as his wife Isabel the daughter of Etbaal king of the Zidonim, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. He erected an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Shomron. Achav also set up the Asherah. Indeed, Achav did more to anger Adonai the God of Israel, than all the kings of Israel preceding him. It was during his time that Kiel of Beit El rebuilt Jericho. He laid its foundation at the cost of his firstborn son Aviram and erected its gates at the cost of his youngest son Segub. This was in keeping with the word of Adonai spoken through Yehoshua the son of Nun. 1 Kings chapter 17. Elijah prophesies a drought. Eliyahu from Tishbe, an inhabitant of Gilead, said to Achav, "As Adonai the God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there will be neither rain nor dew in the years ahead unless I say so." The miracle of the meal and oil. Then the word of Adonai came to him. "Leave here, turn to the east, and hide in Vadi Kerit near the Yarden. You are to drink from the stream, and I have ordered the ravens to feed you there." So he went and acted according to the word of Adonai. He went and lived in Vadi Kerit near the Yarden. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the stream. After a while the stream dried up, because there was no rain in the land. Then this word of Adonai came to him. "Get up, go to Zarphat, a village in Zidon, and live there. I have ordered a widow there to provide for you." So he set out and went to Zarphat. On reaching the gate of the city, he saw a widow there gathering sticks. He called out to her, "Please bring a little water in a container for me to drink." As she was going to get it, he called after her, "Please bring me a piece of bread in your hand." She answered, "As Adonai your God lives, I have nothing baked, only a handful of meal in a pot and a little oil in the jug. Here I am, gathering a couple sticks of wood, so that I can go and cook it for myself and my son. After we have eaten it, we will die." Eliyahu said to her, "Don't be afraid. Go, and do what you said, but first, use a little of it to make me a small loaf of bread, and bring it out to me. After that, make food for yourself and your son. For this is what Adonai the God of Israel says, the pot of meal will not get used up, nor will there fail to be oil in the jug, until the day Adonai sends rain down on the land." She went and acted according to what Eliyahu had said, and he and her household had food to eat for a long time. The pot of meal did not get used up, nor did there fail to be oil in the jug, in fulfillment of the word of Adonai spoken through Eliyahu. The resurrection of the Gentile son. A while later, the son of the woman whose house it was fell ill. His illness grew increasingly serious until his breathing stopped. She said to Eliyahu, "What do you have against me, you man of God? Did you come to me just to remind me how sinful I am by killing my son?" "Give me your son," he said to her. Taking him from her lap, he carried him into the room upstairs where he was staying and laid him on his own bed. Then he cried out to Adonai, "Adonai my God, have you brought also this misery on the widow I'm staying with by killing her son?" He stretched himself out on the child 3 times and cried out to Adonai, "Adonai my God, please, let this child's soul come back into him." Adonai heard Eliyahu's cry, the child's soul came back into him, and he revived. Eliyahu took the child, brought him down from the upstairs room into the house and gave him to his mother, and Eliyahu said, "See, your son is alive." The woman replied to Eliyahu, "Now I know that you are a man of God and that the word of Adonai that you speak is the truth." 1 Kings chapter 18. Elijah challenges Ahab. A long time passed. Then, in the 3rd year, the word of Adonai came to Eliyahu, "Go, present yourself to Achav, and I will send rain down on the land." When Eliyahu went to present himself to Achav, the famine in Shomron had become severe. Achav called Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Now, Obadiah greatly revered Adonai. For example, when Isabel was murdering Adonai's prophets, Obadiah took 100 prophets, hid them in 2 caves, 50 in each, and supplied them with food and water. Achav said to Obadiah, "Go throughout the land, and check all the springs and vardas. Maybe we can find grass somewhere, so that we can keep the horses and mules alive and not lose all the animals." So they divided between them the territory to be visited. Achav went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. Obadiah was on the road when suddenly Eliyahu encountered him. Obadiah recognized him, fell on his face and said, "Is it really you, my lord Eliyahu?" He answered, "Yes, it is I. Go, tell your master, Eliyahu is here." Obadiah replied, "How have I sinned, that you would hand your servant over to Achav to kill me? As Adonai your God lives, there can't be a single nation or kingdom where my master hasn't sent to search you out, and in each kingdom or nation where they said, 'He isn't here,' he made them take an oath that they hadn't found you. Now you say, 'Go tell your master, Eliyahu is here.' But as soon as I leave you, the spirit of Adonai will carry you off to I don't know where, so that when I come and tell Achav, and he can't find you, he will kill me. But I your servant have revered Adonai from my youth. Wasn't my Lord told what I did when Isabel killed Adonai's prophets? How I hid 100 of Adonai's prophets by 50s in caves and supplied their food and water. Now you say, 'Go tell your master, look, Eliyahu is here.' Why, he'll kill me." Eliyahu said, "As Adonai Svo lives, before whom I stand, I will present myself to him today." So Obadiah went, found Achav and told him, and Achav went to meet Eliyahu. When Achav saw Eliyahu, Achav said to him, "Is it really you, you troubler of Israel?" He answered, I haven't troubled Israel. You have, you and your father's house, by abandoning Adonai's mitzvot and following the Baalim. Now order all Israel to assemble before me on Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of the Asherah who eat at Izabel's table. Victory on Mount Carmel. Akav sent word to all the people of Israel and assembled the prophets together on Mount Carmel. Eliyahu stepped forward before all the people and said, How long are you going to jump back and forth between two positions? If Adonai is God, follow him. But if it's Baal, follow him. The people answered him not a word. Then Eliyahu said to the people, I alone, am the only prophet of Adonai who is left, while Baal's prophets number 450. Let them give us 2 young bulls, and they can choose the bull they want for themselves. Then let them cut it in pieces and lay it on the wood, but put no fire under it. I will prepare the other bull, lay it on the wood and put no fire under it. Then, you, call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of Adonai, and the God who answers with fire, let him be God. All the people answered, Good idea. Agreed. Then Eliyahu said to the prophets of Baal, Choose 1 bull for yourselves, and prepare it first, because there are many of you. Then call on the name of your God, but put no fire under it. They took the bull that was given to them, prepared it and called on the name of Baal from morning till noon, Baal, answer us. But no voice was heard, and no one answered, as they jumped around on the altar they had made. Around noon Eliyahu began ridiculing him. Shout louder. After all, he's a god, isn't he? Maybe he's daydreaming, or he's on the potty, or he's away on a trip. Maybe he's asleep, and you have to wake him up. So they shouted louder and slashed themselves with swords and knives, as their custom was, until blood gushed out all over them. By now it was afternoon, and they went on ranting and raving until it was time for the evening offering. But no voice came, no one answered, no one paid any attention. Then Eliyahu said to all the people, Come here to me. All the people came up to him, as he set about repairing the altar of Adonai that had been broken down. Eliyahu took 12 stones, in keeping with the number of tribes of the sons of Yaakov, to whom the word of Adonai had come, saying, Your name is to be Israel. With the stones he built an altar in the name of Adonai. Then he dug a trench around the altar large enough for half a bushel of grain. He arranged the wood, cut up the bull and laid it on the wood. Then he said, Fill 4 pots with water, and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. They did it. Do it again, he said, and they did it again. Do it a 3rd time, he said, and they did it a 3rd time. By now the water was flowing around the altar, and it had filled the trench. Then, when it came time for offering the evening offering, Eliyahu the prophet approached and said, Adonai, God of Abraham, Yitzchak and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, Adonai, hear me, so that this people may know that you, Adonai, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back to you. Then the fire of Adonai fell. It consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones and the dust, and it licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, Adonai is God. Adonai is God. Eliyahu said to them, Seize the prophets of Baal. Don't let one of them escape. They seized them, and Eliyahu brought him down to Wadi Kishon and killed him there. The miracle of rain. Then Eliyahu said to Achav, "Get up, eat, and drink, because I hear the sound of heavy rain." Achav went up to eat and drink, while Eliyahu went up to the top of the Carmel. He bowed down to the ground and put his face between his knees. Now, he said to his servant, "Go up, and look out toward the sea." He went up, looked, and said, "There's nothing there." 7 times he said, "Go again." The 7th time, the servant said, "Now there's a cloud coming up out of the sea, no bigger than a man's hand." Eliyahu said, "Go up, and say to Achav, prepare your chariot, and get down the mountain before the rain stops you." A little later, the sky grew black with clouds and wind, and heavy rain began falling, as Achav, riding in his chariot, made for Yisrael. The hand of Adonai was on Eliyahu. He tucked up his clothing and ran ahead of Achav to the entrance of Yisrael.